Hi, I'm Curtis Thompson, and welcome to 320 Workshops. We are really excited today to announce that we are finally open for business and have our first client. This is our first piece, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to show you our approach to furniture restoration and a little bit about our business processes. So stick around and see how it all turns out. This is the piece. It's a white oak side-by-side, and I've seen them called library secretaries or bookcase secretaries, but basically they all have in common that they have kind of a bookcase on one side and a desk on the other. So it's a lot of storage, very useful. It really kind of actually meets today's modern needs for like work from home because you've got all of this kind of contained in one place. So the client would like to get it a little bit lighter. We got some repairs to make, and we'll go through all that. So what the client did, they dropped it off, and we spent about an hour going over what she likes about it, what she'd like to change, where she wants to use it, and that type of thing. And then after she left, I went over it, making notes of all the different pieces that need to be repaired, and so I could start building a plan. I wanted to make a plan so that one repair isn't interfering with another repair, and I can go through the process in a logical way. So started off with that. What we'll do first is to take all the glass off so that can be safe, take all the hardware off. We'll put those in bags and number them so we know exactly where they go back. Then we'll take it, we'll make all of our repairs, and then we'll strip it down and move on. First start off with getting this glass door out of here.
Body and bread, blood and wine. There's a time to live, time to die, and a time to be.
This bowed glass would be hard to replace, so it made me a little nervous. Once I got it out of the door, I'd already built a small crate out of some scrap plywood so that we could just wrap it in a blanket and put it to the side and keep it protected so nothing would happen.
Hold a hand, life is not the sum of what we plan, but the in-between. This miracle of human life and the body and time that we occupy, it is all together sacred. Slow down, listen for a heartbeat. With everything
I thought this was a pretty cool solution to a problem. The top of the glass was arched, so rather than trying to cut a piece of wood to fit that, they took a piece of old sash cord and used that, nailed it in place to hold the glass in.
in every single moment. La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Tomorrow's still a mystery. Don't worry about what you wear or eat. Just stop and smell the roses. Nothing here is guaranteed, but the love surrounding you and me will hold us together. Slow down, listen for a heartbeat. With everything in motion, ooh, here now.
So this veneer work was pretty straightforward. There were a couple places that were either loose or they had come off and had them in the drawer. Scraping off the old glue, get them held in place, stick them with some tape to hold it until you get it all ready to glue up. I was using a heat gun. It was mildly loose already in a lot of places, so I was just using the heat gun to kind of bring the rest of it off so I could get in there and clean it off. And here I am using the hide glue to stick the veneer back on. I cut a caul out of wood and then I used some foam to just kind of balance out the arc so give a little more even pressure across the veneer. And here I used a piece of new veneer at the bottom. When I did it, there was a piece of veneer at the bottom that I moved up a little bit so that it would, where it was more visible. And then I put the new veneer lower so it would hide it a little bit better. The rest of it is just cutting out the bad spots with straight lines so I could patch it with a easier to cut patch.
Traveled far, playing by car, sing my songs and I play guitar. Baby, this world ain't the same without you. Rain or shine, day or night, never fall from my mind. Oh, like a prisoner that's been free when I'm with you.
Now to cut the patch, use the old trick with some tape. I like using old-fashioned drafting tape because it's a little easier to see my lines on than the blue. You'll see another place I do use the blue because I didn't have this at hand. What I'm doing is just kind of rubbing out around the edges of the opening, and then I can stick this onto the veneer and cut it out when I find the way I want the grain to be oriented. It was a pretty close match. Then it's a little bit of back and forth until you get the piece fit in just perfect. Now this board I have here is just a piece of plywood with a bit of 400 grit sandpaper glued down to it. It's very handy because it serves two purposes. One, when I'm trying to trim that last bit off of the piece, it kind of helps hold the piece in place, as well as then using as the sand to kind of sand it into the exactly right size.
When we rise in newborn sky, in your eyes I see our truth shine. Oh, when we cross the bridge to our tomorrow. One thing now that I've always known, you will never walk alone, 'cause you've always got angels with you. You believe in me, baby, I believe in you, 'cause baby, you amaze me so beautiful.
Okay, so here's some interesting damage on this drawer. It's clear across the veneer, and it's just this weird crack that goes all the way down through here. There's a little bit of a cracking up here. I think it's been repaired, but I'm going to try, so instead of trying to pull all this up and put glue under it, I should be able to reactivate the glue underneath of it and press it down. I think what I'm going to try and do is do that all the way across it. Then I'll get the shellac stripped off of it. And then I've got some repairs to make in here with some pieces missing. So I'll take care of those. And at that point, I'll check. And anything that's loose, I'll work on trying to bring it back down. As you can see over here, this is where I've experimented on it. And this was pretty pretty rough here, and I got it to press down. You can see with the heat, some of the shellac loosened up, and I just went ahead and wiped off the rest with some alcohol. But I'm going to go ahead and try getting some of this down. So what my technique is going to be, I'm going to cover it over with a piece of brown paper. That'll protect the iron from getting any shellac or anything on that. And then once I've got it heated up, I'm going to take this gauge block, which is, you know, a big heavy piece of steel, so it's kind of cold. And then I'll rub it in and iron it down, and that'll help cool it and set the glue. So that's my theory. I'm sticking with it, and let's see how this goes.
So the ironing worked in a few spots, but overall it really didn't stick down the way I thought it would. But the one thing that did happen was that it did help get the veneer flattened and a little bit softer. So it was a benefit to doing the iron across. It just didn't stick the veneer down like I had hoped.
Don't believe in you. Baby, you believe in me.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get this drawer stripped. So what I've got is my stripper, chip brush, some coarse steel wool, and a scraper. This is basically a putty knife that I've rounded the edges so it doesn't catch anything. So we're going to put this stripper on here. And as I always say, you don't paint stripper on. You kind of scrubbing it in. I'm going to try to avoid getting too much down that lock hole, if at all possible. Not sure it'll make any difference, but we're going to try and keep that pristine.
So beautiful to me. Don't like the idea of my baby being out there with broken shoes. I'd say I'm a little crazy or overprotective. Baby, I just care about you. Baby, baby, it's just enough of saying I love you.
This finish was really very hard to get off. It was kind of gummy. And so here I'm going to have to put a second or third time stripping it. And, we were trying to reduce the color on it as well as get that old finish off. So I went ahead and ran the stripper on it again. And you'll see here in a minute what I'm going to do is, again, called for washing the finish off. But instead of just washing it off and wiping off that water, I scrubbed it in and then used like a plastic scraper or a hotel card, key card, to kind of almost squeegee the solution off. This actually got a lot more of the color off of the wood. You can see there where it's really dark, the water. And again, this is just like a TSP substitute cleaner with water, and it did really help get that down. And then once I scrubbed up with the steel wool, etc., then I washed it down again, and it seemed to really do a good job with this round. So a couple days after the stripping was done, everything had dried out, I went over it with some 220 sandpaper just to kind of even everything out. And it gives me a good opportunity to look for anything I might have missed or any problems that are still there. It's bound to happen. You're going to sand something too far, whether by accident or in this case, we had some areas that were just couldn't get the stuff off. So I sanded it down and it lost some of the patina in the oak. This is one way I've used before that works really well. Take the oak, I put some shellac and some dried black pigment. I rub it on, paint it on, wipe it off. Just trying to leave the pigment just down into the grain of the wood. I'm not being real careful. I don't want it to be very even. Just trying to get some of that black pigment down into the grain to restore the patina. You can see here, I think it works pretty well. This top molding was a problem. It was loose when it came in and was bowed over. Reason was it was being held on with nails through about a 1/4-inch rabbet. The only solution I came up with was to use some screws, and that made it a lot more stable. There it is. 320 Workshop's first client project is now complete. I was very pleased with how it turned out, but more importantly, the client was extremely pleased. We stripped off the old dark and rough finish. We re-glued a lot of joints, fixed the drawer runners, polished the brass, sturdied the top molding, repaired a good bit of veneer, and put on a bright new finish. I ended up with about 58 hours in the project, but that did include the filming of this video. I attached a label on the back showing what repairs were done and the specific finishes used, in case it needed to be touched up in 50 or 60 years. Thanks for stopping by.